Trekkers and Trekkies. I don't know why I did that. So, this video is me talking. We're gonna look at my tools of my trade. I've had some people asking, "Hey, what do you use to do this or that or such and such?" So, I got art, and we're gonna talk about it. To start with, first I have to have art. This is Art Cartfunkel. He is my art cart. If you don't get it, you're probably way too young, and that's fine. You can look up a guy named Art Garfunkel and find out that was a really awesome. Or is he still alive? I don't know. We'll find out later. Well, that'll be the surprise for the end of the video. Is Art Garfunkel still alive as of the making of this video? Anyways, this is actually a beautician's cart, but I was like, hey, that's freaking cool. Front has a whole bunch of shelves, and it actually has a little door that swings out, and I can close it and lock it. We'll get to the inside of the drawers in a minute. On the sides, it's got some pockets down here. You can't see that behind the microphone. Same thing on the other side. See, I've got a whole bunch of paint, which the paint, that's going to be this next thing we'll get to it. I got some scissors up here, got a whole bunch of different kinds of scissors. On this side, another pocket thing, more scissors, some glue, and more scissors. This is some crafting wire, which can be really handy. I have my teeny tiny hammer. I do have a bigger hammer in my toolbox under the desk that doesn't get used often because I don't need to hammer nails. I need to hammer small little things and get them in place. And I do have a hair dryer, which I think I've used it on my hair 3 times in the last 10 years. It's primarily for being able to dry things or sometimes actually heat things, because I do use heat sensitive plastics for some of the work I do. On the top, anybody who does miniatures paintings will recognize what's sitting on this top shelf even from this distance. I'm not going to bother trying to get the camera over to this. It's just going to sit there. But you can see that I have all kinds of paints up here on this shelf. It's wonderfully organized. And like you saw on the side a minute ago, there's more paints over here. And here's the thing. Now we'll get into the drawers. Let's switch. First drawer. Is more paint. Now there are a few other things. I've got these chrome mirror markers, which are awesome. It actually, I know you're not going to see that on camera, but it actually does make a very shiny metallic finish. I've also got stuff like Rub and Buff, but this is mostly paints, a couple of silver metallic markers. Second drawer is more paints. In case you haven't figured it out, my first thing as an artist, before I ever started doing figures and dioramas and customs and such, is a painter. In fact, I've got oh no, I thought I did. I thought I had a couple of small canvases under my desk that I'd gotten for Christmas, but I guess I put them somewhere. But I do still paint on canvas on a regular basis. but I do spend a lot more time painting on figures and on dioramas and things like that. So now we actually get into, well, there's more paint here. Obviously, you can see this is actually, this is my sort of go-to flesh tone. I can easily add, I can darken or lighten to get that to an appropriate skin tone that I want. These, you've probably heard of Posca pens. These are paint markers. These are so great when you're just needing to add a little tiny splotch of color detail, you know, like that. I've used it several times for like buttons and stuff. In fact, if you saw the recent Argo build that I did, I used those to do the little buttons that were on the tiny console in between the legs. Now, the two main types of sculpting material that I use is first Sculpey Air Dry. This is a premium air dry clay. This stuff is amazing. That's what's in the, I have an open one in this package here. And then I also have, this is Army Painter green stuff. I use that on a fairly regular basis. The difference being is that this is expensive. It also gets hard. It becomes kind of like a plastic when it hardens. And it will not break up or anything like that after you get it in place. It's definitely far more permanent. Now, the next drawer is also one of the most important ones. My paint brushes. Now, this little bag has all of my fine-tipped, tiny brushes that I use for doing, especially like the action figures and stuff like that. But obviously, these big brushes, and well, some of these brushes are just old brushes that I still have, and I can use them for other things. Yeah, and then I do have a old toothbrush. This was never used as a regular toothbrush, but a toothbrush is great for doing hair on a figure, because if you take it on the Super Sculpey, if you take and you get that down in place, get the shape of the general hair, and then you take the toothbrush and you kind of comb it across it in the direction of the hairline of the hair's lines. Like if I wanted to do the hair I'm doing right now, I'd take and I'd start in the middle and I'd brush down, and the shape would mimic what my hair is doing. So great tool for that. Moving on down. Okay. Now here is the other really fun stuff. I got a roll of Velcro. This gets used on dioramas stuff to hold things together. Not really a figure thing. I do have, we're going to come to these two in just a minute, because those are the two big ones. Several different types of glue. E6000 is amazing stuff. I have different kinds of brushes that are great for getting textures in foams or even in wood, because see, this is like a copper. It's really supposed to be used, you get these to use for like cleaning tools. But if you take soft wood like balsa or foam and you scrape this across it, it can look like wood lines or something like that. Snippers. Everybody should have a pair of these. These are great. They're great for cleaning up the edges of stuff. This is my favorite knife. This is, if you've been watching the Deep Space Nine diorama builds, you've seen me using this a lot. It's a great cutter. Do have various sanding attachments. As far as glues go, I've also got the plastic cement. This is weird ridged scissors. This is really good for if you need to make something that's got a strange sort of patterned edge on it. I've got a couple of pairs of those. This is sort of the standard jagged style. Everybody should have a ruler or something of that sort. These are magnets. These are awesome magnets. They are tiny. I will open it up and you can see there's 3 different sizes in there. There's small, medium, and large. And the large is still very small. These are, I've used them for making figures, because you can take and put a magnet if you want. You can take and put a magnet on the body, on the torso, put a magnet in the neck, and have the head stay on that away so that you can change it in and out like that. This is another type of hobby knife. Another ruler. And these are all things that do get used on a fairly regular basis. I do have a soldering wood burning tool with a bunch of different tips on it that I use for different stuff. This is also really useful. It's a tiny hand drill bit. You can see it's got it's great for making little holes in dioramas. Now, let's talk about this. This is diamond files. It's files of various shapes. You'll see that there's this one. It's flat on one side and sort of triangular on the other. There is no way I'm going to be able to get that to focus, but it's basically a triangle shape. There's one that's completely flat and wide, and we've got one that is totally round. I use these a lot with both figures and dioramas, but especially with figures, because it's great for being able to get things into the shape that I need them, especially joints. A lot of times things like the neck hole is too small for a head, so I need to either make the neck on the head smaller, or I need to make the neck hole larger, and that's where stuff like this can come in. It's also good for being able to trim off details or make them flat or make more jagged edge on something. So that is what these are for. Now this is my bag of sculpting tools. This is mainly used with the Sculpey and the green stuff. There is a variety of different types of sculpting tools. And I do use a lot of these. I don't use every one of these. Like, I have tried to figure out things to do with this weird star-pointed thing. I haven't got a clue. This, funny enough, I actually used this recently on a Mego figure that I was working on, that I needed to sculpt fingernails onto its fingers, and this was a perfect thing for making that shape. Do have this tiny little point. Funny enough, I've got one of these on my desk that I've been using a lot recently, similar to this one, because I've been using it to I'll dip the tip of it into black paint or whatever color paint I need for the eyes, so that I can do the detail on the eyes. These ball styluses are fantastic as well. And these rubber tipped ones, they're soft so that you can get in and sculpt something gently the way that you would with like your finger, but you can get in smaller, tinier details. So let's, and a lot of these are just for different shapes, techniques, like this weird sort of seashell shape. I have actually used that for sculpting hair because it's a great tool for getting that large ridged shape on hair that some people have. So let's. I'm gonna set that there. We'll get the last drawer, which is also the heaviest. This is one I should mention. I don't have them in a drawer. They're in a different spot. Ooh, hope everything's okay. Didn't break anything. Sanding blocks. Oh, hold on. What is... Okay, I did bump something. Okay, still recording. Sanding blocks is something that I keep because they're the best thing for sanding on figures. If you're sanding on dioramas, stuff like these round ones or these square sheets are a lot better for something a big area, but for drop. Oh, it's a flashlight. Oh well. You probably noticed the saw. This is mostly a diorama tool used for cutting like small pieces of wood, plastics, stuff like that. But I have had to use this on figures a few times when I need to cut big chunks of something off. Doesn't happen often. Now, yes, I do have two identical pairs of pliers here because sometimes you need to get a hold of something and go from opposite directions. It does happen. We'll come back to the wooden box in a minute. This is an awesome little tool. Y'all have heard me mention Ara from Bentley House Minis. Her channel introduced me to this tool. This thing is amazing because it is made for cutting things at, I don't know if you can see the lines on there, and they say different angles, like 90 degrees, 75, 45. So if I wanted to cut something at a 45-degree angle, I set that little barrier down like that, and then I can take and cut something small, like, I've got popsicle sticks that I keep back here. So I can take the popsicle stick, and now I have a 45-degree cut. And let's say that I want the other side to have a 90-degree cut. So I want to make a sort of triangle like that. And there we go. Now that has a 90-degree flush on it. And I've made a little triangle out of wood. This Gorilla Glue is great. It foams up and makes a good thick barrier. Fantastic for diorama stuff. These are some really cool little snippers. They are dangerous as crap because they are sharp. I actually got these with something. I don't remember what I got them with, but I have held on to them ever since because they are awesome. This is I think it's called a miter box. It's for sawing. I can take and put a piece of wood or plastic and line it up in there. And again, it's got lines this way, and this way. And I can cut it at the various angles. Obviously for the, oh yeah, and this is the saw that would really go with that. So I could take and, there, like that. And cut that like that. One quick cut and it's through. Again, this is a lot of just regular old tools that I use for various things. I do have, this is a tiny screwdriver set. See, little teeny tiny screwdrivers. I actually originally used these. That's why this little sheet of paper is in here. Is that this used to be glued, taped to the front of this. Back when I worked at a music store, whenever somebody came in and asked me to tune an instrument, I had my little cheat sheet there real quick, just so I could remember. I had it mostly memorized, but I mean, for example, mandolins didn't come in very often, and it was, yes, mandolins are the same as violins, with the bottom reversed, but it doesn't matter. It was just, I'd have to stop and think, oh, but yeah, it was, well, really what it was when people would ask me to change the strings and tune it. But, and this is another screwdriver set here. I don't really use that often. I have it just in case. So then the last thing is this box, which is some knives. Yeah, you got to use knives a lot to cut stuff. What else can you say? You cut stuff, you need a knife. You hammer it, you need saw and mallet. Sometimes you need glue. And sometimes you do need something to unstick stuff. Okay, so the last I'm going to pause you while I sort this out, and I'll be right back. Okay, got that fixed. Now, you can't see, but at the very, very bottom on the outside, there is a couple of little pockets that has a bunch of stuff in them. Got stuff like bottles of Mod Podge Matte. Got Elmer's Glue All multi-purpose glue. Got Mod Podge mixed with black paint. That's a thing that you do a lot with dioramas. If you're not familiar with it, you should get familiar with it real quick. It's the sort of industry standard of the setting it up for painting is to do a coat of Mod Podge black. Got another package of paints, testers. They are great. And then I have my makeup brushes. Like, why do you have makeup brushes? Makeup brushes are some of the best brushes for dry brushing. Because you can take, not this round one. This round one I use for other stuff sometimes. But these ones that have this almost flat edge on them, and I'll use different sizes depending on what I'm doing. Like if I was doing or dry brushing the hair on a tiny little figure, I would use one of these small brushes. If I'm doing like a big diorama, I'll use this big brush. And so what I can do is you take and you can dip that in your paint. and then you can hit that whole end onto a towel to get some of it off, and then you boop, 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 do your dry brushing. And it looks fantastic. If you're not using makeup brushes, and this was like $10, you can find cheap, good makeup brushes for basically nothing. Oh, and I forgot to show down here, I have rolls of tape. You probably don't care about that. No, like I said, under my desk, I do have another box of tools where I keep things like a drill, which can come in handy for a diorama. I've got a big saw. Oop, gonna knock stuff over. Like that. Yeah, this is... And I do have more paints. I have paints everywhere. I have Mod Podge everywhere. Because these are things that are going to get used all the time. All the stinking time. Something else that's really good is spray bottles. Water bottles. These are so useful. You can put water in them. You can put water mixed with glue so that stuff sticks. You can put water mixed with glue, mixed with vinegar, so that water stinks and sticks. Whatever combination you want to come up with. The vinegar thing is something you can do with if you're using like bark from a tree from the outside. You should really bake it. But if you spray it with vinegar also, that will help to kill any bacterias and stuff that could be harmful. Also, masking tape for painting. This is that frog tape stuff. This is freaking awesome. I have so many pens and markers and, Sharpies and paints. I can't really even, it's just, once you start, you can't stop. It's a drug. It's a drug that makes cool stuff. Although I'm sure somebody on acid has said that before. Makes a drug that makes you make cool stuff, man. But it's when you start making stuff, you're gonna love it. You're gonna want to do it all the time. It's addicting because when you're done, you've made something, and that's something I tell y'all. I try to say at the end of every video, go make something, because it feels good. It feels good to, when you're done, be able to go, hey, look at this cool thing that I made. I'm the only one who's got one of these for now. Now that I've made a video showing you how to make your own, Maybe you'll go out there. Maybe you'll do something better. Hey, there's actually 3D files for the Argo on Thingiverse. So people could just go download that for free, print it out, and assemble it and paint it and make an actual, like, movie realistic one if they really wanted to. I hope somebody does. As soon as I have a printer that's big enough to print the parts, or I figure out how to do stuff better in 3D Blender stuff things. See, I don't know what I'm talking about with that. I need somebody to do my 3D stuff, is what I'm saying. I don't know how to do the 3D. Anyways. But it's, yes, you're going to end up with a lot of weird stuff. And you might end up with a cart named Art. Go make something. I'll see you next time. If you enjoy my videos and want to see more, please like, share, subscribe, and ring the bell icon. If you want to support me, you can find me on Patreon, or go over to Zazzle for prints of my artwork, t-shirts, and other cool stuff. If you're still here, why? Do you want to jam out?